I never wanted to die. I didn't want my life to be over, but I really, really needed a break. And I think I got a call from a boss or a producer or something, and I had messed something up at some point. So I'm driving into Hollywood and Highland, and I drove a white Mini Cooper at the time. And I remember I just had an absolute like panic attack, mental breakdown. Like I don't even know exactly what it was, but I'm driving around, and every time I got to the straight part of the parking lot, I gunned it like 60 miles an hour. And then right before I found the wall, I would put my brakes on and screech my brakes. Like I really was 2 seconds away from crashing my car into the wall on purpose. And I did it like all 6 layers. And later in therapy, my therapist was like, this is you trying to get off the treadmill. Like, it's so sad when you get to a point where you're working so hard. And I've heard this from many people that like, you almost wish you would get, like, I wish I could go to the hospital for exhaustion. I wish something would happen to me so they would just put me away or put me in a hospital and someone would take care of me. Like, it's such a wild thing to say, but I really just needed a break. And again, it was so hard because I could never say to anyone, I'm really struggling, I'm having a hard time, because they would be like, oh, you are? It must be so hard to be on TV. I felt very unseen. I had to suffer in silence.
Were you able to like start going to therapy immediately after that? And how did that help you kind of get through that? Because it's not like you can't wake up tomorrow and just be like completely fine with what just happened.
Yeah. Well, for me, like I just shoved it under the rug because I was just like, oh, I'm just tired and I need to sleep. And maybe if I ate a vegetable, you know, the thing is, I feel like women do this a lot. And I talk about it a lot on my podcast, Ladygang. Like, we just kind of get used to being uncomfortable and feeling like shit. Mm-hmm. So it's like, whether it's a health thing or it's a mental thing, you just kind of are like, oh, well, I got through it. I didn't crash my car into the wall. I'm fine now. Like, you know, you just go to the next thing. And so I did start seeing a psychiatrist at that time, got on some meds, which was amazing. Once I started doing therapy and realizing there's other things to be alive for instead of just a job, and like that, it could be part of my life to take care of myself. Like that could be another job. Like the job wasn't just outward things that made me sparkly to the public. I could also do things for myself that actually just made me feel good. Like real dopamine, you know, as opposed to like the fake dopamine of social media or all those things. So once I flipped the switch on that, that's when I think everything changed. And it's nothing... everything's changed and nothing's changed. Yeah. I wake up and I'm like, am I trash? I'm horrible. I'm ugly. It's over. I'm in my 40s. My career's ending. What am I going to do now? Every day, you know? And then, but at the same time, I have those skills to be like, take a deep breath, Kelts. Right. You're doing fine. And you don't have to fear the future, because my therapist always plays this game with me, like the, what happens then? So they're you know, so they're like, it's very therapy 101. So she's like, okay, so Superfan is a hit show. What happens next? I'm like, we do another season. She's like, what happens then? I'm like, I'm very stressed out about it. She's like, okay, Superfan's not a hit show. What happens then? I was like, I have 3 other jobs, a hit podcast, and I work at E-News. And she's like, okay, great. And then what? You know, like, and then what is like the most comforting thing? Cause I'm like, I do like that. Yeah. Like, oh, like it's just going to keep going. Like, it's just going to keep rolling, and it'll be over when it's over.
Well, the then what, or what's next? Like, that's a great way to look at it, because it's like, I don't know, whatever you do, whether you're, you know, working in a factory, you're a teacher, you work at a hospital, you're in entertainment, like no matter what you do in work, but also in life, like you can apply that to, okay, if this happens, it's like when I went through all my shit and I was suicidal for 3 months, I didn't think I was ever going to get out of this hole that I was in. I didn't know what the answer to like what's next was. I just thought I was always going to feel like this. And that's why I tell everybody with mental health, I tell them 2 things, and I'm not a therapist, obviously, but I've been through like, you know, some really tough shit. 1, do something. If you're having that moment in the car, like you were, call your husband, call a therapist, call somebody, just do something. And 2 is that feelings are temporary. And it's so hard in those moments to like,
you feel like it's everything.
Yeah. You feel like you're never going to get out of that depressed, sad feeling. But like, I promise, like, I mean, I was in that spot literally a year and a half ago, and now I don't even recognize that person. Like, do you feel that way about you? You look back and you go, how was I ever feeling like this?
I just can't imagine like letting myself ever get to a place where where I loved myself so little. Like, I did not give a shit about Keltie as a human being. Like, and I was her. That's what's so sad, is you're like, I can't believe I can treat myself so badly, mentally, physically, just not eating right, not working out, not taking time for myself, not nourishing myself in any way, not seeking any help. Like, I literally was treating her worse than I would treat any other human or animal on the planet. Like, I'm a vegetarian. I don't even eat meat. Like, I like love things, and I was garbage human to myself.